Let's look at some of the other options that you have in Dataman in terms of menus. So we are continuing here with our list of motion corrected data, and we have removed the data from the list that was not motion corrected. So if I select one of these items, we can then see what we can choose from the data menu. So there are some interesting options here. For instance, when each of these data is located in a folder, and sometimes it might be interesting to see the folder. And in data open somehow, you can choose the path and then data open somehow, and it will open for you, well, basically somehow, whatever is in that cell. So in this case, you have a directory. Let's open all these directories. Open somehow, and you can see all the data that you have on the disk. Open somehow will open whatever it is depending on what it is. So in this case, we're going to choose the item here and the title itself and open somehow. And actually what that does is that it shows it in the command line here, just not the command line, but in the command window of Matlab. And if it's a struct, for instance, that's stored somehow, then it will open that for you. So this option does various things depending on what's in the cell, but it's often a practical utility that you can use to, for instance, like jump to a path. The reload option reloads all the data in the editor. The to workspace option, let me select a few of these. Actually, we can just select one and choose data to workspace. To workspace will bring a variable into your desk, into your workspace that includes information about what's currently selected. So in this case, you can see that we have the selected data here in the eddata.selected variable. And there are also some additional data that goes into that. This gets set when you do this. So when you choose to workspace, that's the one that goes to eddata, and even if I select other things here, that data variable will not change. If you choose more than one and then this option, you'll see that you now have an array of objects. You have some other export options, including to table and to mat file, and in this case, what gets exported is the things that are in these cells. So this is not an export option in the traditional sense. It just takes whatever is in these cells and exports that into a table or a mat file. Then you have copy single, paste to all, and clear selected. So in the previous video, we discussed a little bit what these data allocation variables are. And sometimes it's valuable to copy and paste one of the values from one of these columns easily. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into view variable picker, and we're going to add our demo variable one more time and apply. And now we have the column demo here with the silly things that we entered in our previous video. But let's say that I want this number in all these locations. What I can then do is I want to copy this. So I go data, copy single, and then I select the ones where I want to paste it, and I go data, paste to all, and then the value gets pasted into all those cells. This is a way to, for instance, if your column or your variable contains, say, a configuration for an external script to run on this data, and you want to apply that to multiple, but maybe not all the series that you have, then you can do the copy single, paste to all selection here. You can also choose data and clear selected to remove the values. So this is the data menu. You can just also have a look in the view menu, which has the action queue, which contains the batch operations, as we talked about earlier. You have the variable picker, which we demonstrated before. In addition to that, you have some specific tools that we'll get back to later, which includes how to use on and off path metadata. And we'll get back to what that means later, but effectively it means that you can choose to disconnect your raw data and choose to keep your sort of derived analytical data on, for instance, fast disks such as SSD disks, while the original data resides on slower, larger external hard drives, for instance.